Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining today. We're going to wait two or 3 minutes for everybody to join, okay? Okay. I think we're gonna start. First of all, welcome everybody. I hope you're having a great evening, and thank you for joining today. So my name is Vishal. I'm from Spain. And one of the reasons that we're doing these events is because we're seeing a lot of demand for automation skills, and also cloud is picking up quite quickly in the EU. And also we see a little bit of a market that is unpredictable and a little bit turmoil. Okay, so what we decided is to do one event to see if people would be interested in tools that might help them in searching for a job and creating their resume faster. Okay, so we decided to do this event, and there was a lot of hype, and there was a lot of interest. So we decided to do more of these events, and we probably will do more in the future. Okay, the more we can help for people to to be faster in applying, in gathering jobs, the better. Okay. Um, Before we start, I would like to share a few ground rules. So first of all, I would really appreciate if you can share in the chat where are you joining from and which type of jobs are you looking for. So we have here somebody from nice France. Great. Come on, let's share where are we joining from. So we have from Sweden, super nice Sweden. Lovely. Italy, Poland, Germany. I'm going to Germany soon. There's an n8n event soon, so nice. Czech, Belgium, the UK, great. Germany, nice. London, lovely. Ireland, software engineer, cool. We have people from all around Europe, cool. Denmark, okay. So I'm in Spain. Today is not sunny, but it's okay. We're comfortable here. So second, I would kindly ask you to make sure that you are nice and respectful to everybody. Also, I would encourage you to ask any questions you might have during the session through the chat. So feel free to put the question in the chat, and I will try to answer as soon as possible. Also, would like to give a heads up. Sometimes n8n or Claude or even myself can make small mistakes. So just let's be a little bit flexible. Finally, the video will be available in my channel. Okay, so after the session, you will be able to review the video in my channel. Okay, it's gonna be in the meetup events playlist. And after the session, we can provide with the workflows that we have seen in the session. I will share a link so that you can just fill in your details, and I will then share these workflows through your email. Okay. Finally, encourage everybody to like and subscribe, but that's totally optional. Okay. Cool. So let's start. So there's already a question. The solutions that I'm presenting today are free. So n8n is free. You can download n8n for free, which is one of the main solutions that I'm working with. n8n is a very important automation tool. Claude, as you might know, is not free. You have to pay $20 per month, but it's affordable. And we're going to use, in general, most of the tools are going to be, if not free, very, very, very affordable. Okay. Cool. So what's the agenda for today? We're going to explain a little bit about the automation and AI agent space, but not too much. Then we're going to jump into directly with some workflows and some automations that we can use to boost our job search. Okay. Again, feel free to ask any questions through the chat. I will try to answer. Also, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you need some help or if you want to discuss something with me, I'm usually very open. So that's always an option. Okay. The session is hosted by RestFlow, which is my company, and we do automation as a service. We focus mainly in deployment of automations and corporate trainings with n8n and Claude. Okay. We also do boot camps for individuals that want to learn about automation and Claude ecosystem. Okay. So somebody's asking, can we do these automations for free by any chance? Yeah, most of the tools that we're going to see today, except for Claude. So n8n is free. We're going to connect n8n to Google Drive, which is free. Using AI has a cost, but you can make it quite efficient and affordable. Claude has a cost, and Apify has a cost, but you can get a plan for free, and I will explain to you how Apify works. Okay. But in general, I would say if they're not free, they're quite affordable. The most expensive thing that you're going to use is Claude, which is $20 per month, or even less. I would say it's $18 per month. Okay. Cool. So let's explain a little bit about the automation and AI agent space. How's that looking in the EU? So we're talking to companies every week. Basically, there's a huge demand for automation. Just companies don't really know what they want to automate, or whether if they want an agent or an automation. They don't know what to use. They think maybe n8n is a good option. Claude is also a good option. Sometimes they don't know which to choose when. And so we discuss with them and we see the demand. Okay, there is. In terms of automation, I would say that the tools that are being used the most are Make and n8n, but I would say also UiPath. It's quite interesting. UiPath. The good thing with UiPath is that not everybody knows it, and so if you become an expert, you might be seeing that there's a lot of opportunity. But when it comes to simple automations, or when it comes to automations that become complex and you need to connect them with different systems, I would say that Make and n8n are doing a really good job, especially n8n. Okay. when companies are thinking about automation, they're usually trying to use n8n for processes that are repetitive, that have a sequence execution, meaning that there's always, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And so it's a sequential process. And specifically in processes that are deterministic, meaning for the same types of inputs, you would expect the same behavior of the process. For instance, invoice processing. Invoice processing is something that you don't want to do with an agent. You'd rather do it with an automation, which is going to be way more efficient. And in terms of cost, it's going to be way better. Okay. Another thing is agents. Okay, so companies are choosing agents when they want, for instance, to make sure that all the documents in the company are classified and that they're accessible, that all the procedures are, accessible for their team members, also for clients or for external stakeholders. In those cases, they're looking more into agents, and sometimes it's good to use Claude. Claude is good, but you need to actually be side by side to it. So Claude has a lot of power. It's very good at reasoning, but it has two issues. One is not meant to be for unsupervised workflow, at least yet. Probably in a few months, we're going to be having a different discussion. Second, it's very difficult to scale Claude for specific workflows because of the token consumption. Claude is very high on reasoning, but there's some tasks that you want to automate that don't necessarily need the highest level of reasoning. And so Claude is not for that. But it is true that Claude is great for the other type of stuff that needs high level of reasoning. Okay. So cool. There's some questions here. How can we find you on LinkedIn? Oh, nice. So yeah, I'm going to share my LinkedIn. It's on my Meetup channel, but I can happily share my LinkedIn here. So if anybody wants to add me, feel free. There's another question. Which one would you say is the best one to use? So here I have that typical discussion, right? Which is the right tool to choose? It depends on the task. When a task is gonna be sequenced, it's a specific process that, that's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And that is gonna scale, meaning that you're gonna run it more than 1,000 times per month. You would rather use n8n. Okay. If a task needs power, it needs reasoning, it needs a little bit of guidance, where what you want is actually, maybe a report, or you want to do a task that it's going to mean that you're going to supervise it. I think Claude could be an option, but there's, it's case by case, and it also depends by the model that you're choosing. But even the cheapest model from Claude is going to be more expensive than the most effective model of OpenAI for data extraction. So imagine I want to process 1,000 contracts per day. OpenAI is a better choice. Using OpenAI with n8n is way more scalable, way more cost efficient, and sometimes you just need an AI that will extract data from a file and doesn't, let's say, is not verbose. Sometimes Claude, you might be asking a simple question for which an answer could easily be done in a sentence, and instead you get a report. I'm not saying that the Claude is not an option. I just say that sometimes you need efficiency over power. Okay, but again, as somebody's mentioning in the channel, depends a little bit on the Claude model you choose. Definitely. So the model, choosing the right model, choosing the right tool, it depends on the type of task that you're doing. Okay, so you could go to a less expensive model, but it's the Haiku is still way more expensive than the 4.1 nano, which is very efficient to extract data from an invoice or a delivery note. Okay. And actually, there's places in which you can compare all this information. So I can go here and compare, GPT 4.1 versus GPT 5.5 Pro. So you see the difference in price that you have here, right? There's a huge difference in price. And so for some certain tasks, you might be super efficient with this model, because you're just extracting data from a document. You don't need something advanced. So let's I'm going to continue, and then I will go back to the questions, because I want people to start seeing this these automations to boost their job hunting. The first automation I want to show you is an automation that basically is going to help us in go faster in getting jobs from different sites. So before starting, I want to know how many sources are you looking into to look for a job? Are you just going into LinkedIn, or are you going into LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Jobspresso, JobEC? So there are a lot of Europe remote jobs, etc. So can you guys share in the chat which tools are you, which portals, which feeds are you using in general, just so that I know. This will help me for future events. So I always would use Europe remote jobs, or LinkedIn, so there's a lot of these. So I see here LinkedIn, everything that happens sometimes. Okay, and probably you're spending a lot of time. Okay, so something that I did, which for me is interesting, is I said, okay, I'm gonna have a workflow that's basically going to different job sites, and we're gonna just get the product jobs. Okay. So in this case, this workflow, it's a very simple workflow. It seems it might seem there's a lot of nodes, but it's actually always the same structure. And this workflow goes to one page, which is called Himalayas, which is a job portal. Remotive, we work remotely, RemoteOK, JobEC, Jobspresso, remote jobs, and active jobs. So it's going to several portals, okay, more than 8 portals. And don't worry, I will show you one that's going to LinkedIn, but now we're going to focus on these ones. And this workflow, what it does, it's basically automating n8n going to that page, fetching the information of the feed of all the jobs that are open, filtering that information for the jobs that I might be focused on, maybe product. I think in this case, I'm using any job related to product. Okay, and then it's gonna put all the information about the job in this job tracker. Okay, where I have a lot of information. Let me remove all this previous information so that we see a clean Excel. And so if I run it, so let's run this one. It's going to go to the web Himalayas, okay? Apparently there's 30 jobs, but none of them is recent. So maybe I want to put a few more days here. So let's run it. Nope. Why? So here there's no available jobs. I'll check why. Maybe there's no jobs related to product. Could be that there's no jobs related to product. In this case, we have from Remotive, we have 5 items, 5 jobs. And what's going to happen is that we're going to extract the information from the website, remotive.com. We have actually gone to the feed associated to product jobs. Then we're going to be filtering so that we don't get maybe the jobs that are more let's say older than 5-10 days. Then we're going to use a very efficient OpenAI model, which is 4.1 nano, to go through all the text, and we're just going to extract the relevant things about the job. Okay. And so here we see the information about the job. Let's go to the next one. Okay. So somebody's asking, why do you call them code 3, code 4? I think it's when you add them, n8n gives them a name. I just didn't bother in changing the name. For me, the efficient thing to do is just to get the jobs in this sheet, okay? But yeah, you can rename them and put different names, and that would be a little bit more clean, technically speaking. For me, what I wanted to do is just get as much sources as possible and get that to my Excel, okay? If you are a little bit more strict than I am, you might want to call them specific names so that you can identify them. But in my case, I focus more on getting as many sources as possible to my Google Sheet. So in this case, we're getting 10 items. So let's see here. Basically, we're going to Europe remote jobs. Oops. Okay. And it's now processing all these jobs. Let's see, it's taking a little bit. I don't know why it's taking so long. So here we have, and here ideally, you see we have now the ones from this source, product. Here, let's see RemoteOK, but I hear there's no jobs. Let's see this one, JobEC. This one is JobEC, so it's basically going into management. So somebody's asking, why do you split them into more than one code box and not just one? So it depends on the source. Usually, the automation has always the same approach, right? It goes to the website, then it defines if it needs to do some cleaning, then it will filter by product and recent jobs, and then it will use an OpenAI model, and finally a Google Sheet. Some URLs, some feeds are cleaner than others. So sometimes I'm just reaching out to the normal website, and sometimes I'm reaching out to the RSS feed. So sometimes where I need a little bit of cleaning of the HTML code, I might use an additional code, okay, an additional code node. The code is built by you or predefined already in the solution. So the code should be defined. So the code, basically what I did is I provided to ChatGPT the structure of the response, and then the code is built by ChatGPT in order to do what I wanted to do. So I'm not an expert in JavaScript. What basically I might do is copy the structure of the previous node to see what input I'm having, and then I might ask ChatGPT to help me filter by keywords or by dates. And so some codes are a bit more complex than others. So this is great to start consolidating jobs from different sources. There are a lot of ways of doing these workflows, but I think this one was fast and efficient. What I actually want is as many jobs as possible, so I can start filtering, and then as long as I have the link, I will be able to see if it's worth spending the time on that job. And the structure is always similar, right? So first there's a schedule trigger. Then you have the RSS feed or the HTTP request that will basically go to the website of the job, the job website, the feed, and fetch the HTML or the jobs or the RSS feed. Then you will have a code that's either cleaning or filtering, which you could also do in many ways, but I like to do it before going to the AI, because the AI is going to charge you by token. So the more I clean it, the more I filter it, the more efficient my workflow becomes in terms of cost. Then my OpenAI node, my AI node, will basically go and send the information of the job to OpenAI and get a structured response of that job. And finally, it's going to transpose the information of the job to my Google Sheet. Okay, you could actually automate it so that it runs every day and only gets the jobs in the last 24 hours, and that would be efficient for you to have them in one sheet. Okay. One thing that that you might have realized is that I didn't do anything with LinkedIn. LinkedIn is still, the main place where people look for jobs. Sorry, but the issue with LinkedIn is that LinkedIn is profoundly anti-robot. Okay, so you need to be a little bit careful when you do anything with n8n and with LinkedIn. But there's an option that you could use and that we're going to see today, which is Apify. Apify is a tool that allows me to basically go to LinkedIn, define a search. For instance, if imagine I go here, I filter by jobs, and I say, well, I want product manager jobs from the last maybe 7 days. Okay. And maybe I want it in, okay, let's say London. What I can do is I can basically copy this link, and with a tool called Apify, which I'm going to explain to you what it does because it's a very important tool in automation, I can look for my LinkedIn actor, which is basically a job scrapper or a web page scrapper, and here I can actually paste my filter and use it to see how this would work, how it would fetch information. So then this actor is gonna, let's see. So it's asking me to do the search without being logged in. So I can do like this, and we can do search jobs LinkedIn product manager London. Okay, so if I do like this, now this link, if I say in the last week, if I do it with this link, it should work. So let's try again. Okay, so you have here 60 jobs, and this, it's a way to test it. But in reality, what you actually want is to automate this process. How do you automate this process? So simple. Let's stop this. Now that I see that it will work, what I can do is I can put the search that I'm going to use. I can split it by country, and then I will get this JSON structure, this code structure, copy it, and I will go to my automation, which is basically a simple schedule trigger, an Apify actor that is using LinkedIn job scraper, and then I can just paste it here, which will allow me to run this actor automatically from n8n and not have to go here and here to do this search of jobs. And once I run it, what's going to happen is that it's going to go to LinkedIn. It's going to get the jobs that appear when using this filter that we have created by searching here, applying the filters and copying the URL. And once it has extracted the information about the jobs, it will put the jobs in this Google Sheet file. Okay. So we will have, let's see, we will have 9 more jobs that are going to be added at the end of this file. Okay. Here we have them, 29. Yes, this one have been added today. What will this allow me to do? This will allow me to reduce significantly the amount of time that I spend looking and searching. I don't know how much are you spending per day. Can anybody tell me how much are you spending per day in looking and in searching, in looking different websites, in going to Europe remote jobs, LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, etc. How much are you spending on doing that per day? Because this automation would, if you configure them correctly, it would allow you to have spending in time. Sorry, what I mean is spending in time. How much time, in per day are you spending on looking for jobs? These type of automations, you can run them every morning, okay, and get those jobs in an Excel and just focus on that Excel or on that Google Sheet. Okay, so no response. So let's see. So all the day. Some people are spending all the day, man. That's frustrating. That happens, and I've been there. It's a little bit frustrating. We're in a weird market. Hopefully, this will save you a little bit of time. Let's LinkedIn sends me notifications when new jobs are available. But the thing with LinkedIn is that it has become super expensive for companies to post jobs there. LinkedIn, it's if maybe you don't mind working for a startup, I don't think they're going that much to LinkedIn because it's really expensive, and you get a lot of, let's say, you get a lot of resumes that might not be suitable for the job, and so I think a lot of companies are moving out of LinkedIn. So even we as a company, when we post jobs, we're not doing it in LinkedIn anymore. So I might suggest you that you can explore other options, especially for remote jobs. Cool. So now let's go to the next part of this process, which is resume generation. So one of the things that is more frustrating is the game that we have, no, on how to apply. It's become a little bit tricky, and it's a game of keywords. It's not a game of merit. It's not a game of having good experience. It's a game of numbers and keywords, unfortunately. So what I had this problem, right? And what I did is an automation that basically what's gonna do is, so if I imagine I go here to my list of LinkedIn jobs, and I'm gonna fetch. I want to fetch. Let's see, for instance, this one. Okay, this company is called Flossum, and I wanna maybe this one. I'm not. This one, hack a job, digital evangelist. So imagine I want to automate the generation of a resume for this type of job. What I'm going to do is I can copy here. And what I'm going to do is going to put it in this chat. And this workflow, basically what it does, it's going to get all the information about the job, all the information about the job description. Then it's going to get all the information about my experience of different companies. So here we have a Google Doc with all my experience from companies, all my experience in general within these companies. So this is in Google Docs. Okay, so it's going to fetch information from the job description. It's going to fetch information from me, my experience, my skills, my education, my achievements, my companies that I have been in. And then AI is going to process the whole thing. After that, it's going to generate a Harvard formatted resume. Okay, so let's do an example. I'm just going to run it. So what I've done is I've sent through the chat the job description, and now it's going to start processing with AI all my data and all the job description to create a resume in the Harvard format, and then it's going to place that resume in this folder. So ideally, in a few seconds, we're going to see how a new folder appears, and we're going to see the CV that it has generated. Okay. So let's see. So it's still running. Takes some time because it's a lot of information. And now I think here we have it. So it has created this for Atos, okay? Digital Evangelist, HackaJob is collaborating with Atos. It's not with HackaJob, it's with Atos, okay? And so here we have the resume that is adapted for this job. So let's check if, if it could work and if it could be a match. So let's download the job description and the resume, and let's maybe go to ChatGPT, and I'm just gonna ask ChatGPT, okay, the resume and the job description, calculate the match in terms of keywords. Let's see how this works. 82%. Okay, it could be better. I've gotten even 90%. We can do another example. 82% is still pretty good, but we need to usually reach 90%. So we can get another job. Let's see. It's true that these jobs are not totally what I want. AVP, go to market, creative, digital evangelist. There's a lot of this. Senior developer, agentic. Let's see this one. So let's try with another one. This one. This is a great question. So somebody's asking, could you combine them and then just get a notification for all jobs that are 90%? Yes. Yes. Okay. And actually, you could combine the whole flow. Having this, instead of working with the chat message, having it connected to your Excel, having that Excel define if something needs to run or not with a flag, and then getting that result and combining the job description and the result to get a match. You can do that, okay? Actually, it's a great idea for the next session, okay? So thank you for the idea. So here we have another one, ServiceNow, and this is the resume that it has generated for this type of job. Let's see how this one matches. So I'm gonna download it, and I'm gonna download this one, and I'm just gonna open a new chat, and I'm gonna, resume. Definitely. So you can these workflows are not perfect. They are always subject to evolution, right? So we're gonna see how. So this is even less, man, on my day. For instance, I have another version of this workflow that basically what I do is I streamline the workflow so that instead of me having to put it on the chat, it's just fetching all the jobs from my Google Sheet with jobs that haven't been processed. So basically, I have a field here, which is called processed. Here it is. And this field will define if this workflow processes or not. If it's set to no, it means it hasn't been processed. So it will fetch it. And once it's done, it will mark it as processed. Okay. Probably the issue here is that the job searches that I'm using is related to digital evangelist, and my resume has been focused to product manager. But if what I do is change. So I'm gonna go to my job sheet, and I'm gonna remove all these jobs, digital evangelist, cloud developer. So I'm gonna leave it like this, and I go to my Apify workflow that will get jobs, and I update the URL. So maybe I do like this, and I run it. Hopefully, I will get some product management jobs, and maybe I can create based on that their resume. I'm going to close some tabs. While this is running, I'm going to explain what's Apify. Apify is a very interesting tool that we're seeing that is getting in higher demand because Apify, so we have 20 jobs here that we can process. Apify is a tool that will allow you to extract information from almost any website. So it's great to finding companies. It's great to finding companies on Glassdoor, on LinkedIn. It's great also to, if you are in e-commerce, to get on Amazon and you don't get things related to product descriptions. Apify is super powerful, and I would recommend to anybody to use it. You just need to be careful with the terms and conditions. I encourage everybody to check the terms and conditions when you are scraping information from these websites, and to get information from LinkedIn is also useful. So this workflow, now we have here a few jobs related to product manager, and what's going to happen is that it's going to start processing from any row that is marked as not processed. Okay, so it's processed. No, what's going to happen with this workflow is that it's automatically fetching the information from this Google Sheet. It's going to start processing each row one by one. And finally, what's going to happen is that it's going to create the resume adapted to this job. Let's give it a few seconds. So it's the same workflow as the other one, but the other one was just putting the job description on the chat, which requires me to do something manually. This one would basically get it from the Google Sheet and process it automatically. Again, you can actually automate most of all these workflows. So you can automate end to end. Okay, so I think this should be done. Cardac, and this resume, it has been created. Okay, let's see how this works. Here, let's see what percentage I get. Now 88, it's a little bit better. I would have liked it to exceed 90%. So sometimes you should exceed 90%. But this workflow, I tried it last year. I was getting interviews. What you need to make sure is that you prepare the interview correctly, because the resume is going to be very well adapted to the job description. And so you need to make sure that your storyline is coherent with the resume. And of course, if you feel that the resume has gone way too creative in matching to the job description, you might want to take a look at it. Okay. Hopefully, this workflow in combination with the other ones would help you in boost, getting jobs, in boost your job search. Another tool that might be interesting for you to use is the whole cloud ecosystem. So imagine that, so I want to check a little bit about Claude. Imagine you say, hey, n8n might be a little bit complex to me. Claude also could allow you to speed up that process with Claude skills. Okay, so I can use Claude with Apify. So I can actually do something like, hey, Claude, use Apify on LinkedIn for jobs related to product management in London, posted in the last 7 days. And so Claude is prepared to connect to Apify and search for jobs and extract this information for you. Let's see if we can run it. Because once you have all these jobs, then you can use a skill that generates the resume for applied for that, let's say specific for that job. So we're gonna see how we can get a list of jobs, and then we can use the resume generation in Harvard format to get a resume adapted to those jobs. Apify. So somebody is asking how much is Apify. So Apify, it has a free tier for €0 per month. You get $5 of usage. The $5 is a little bit limited, but it would allow you to test the tool to see if it's worth it spending more. And every month you get $5. Probably you are having a pay. So in this case, I'm using a paying account because I use Apify a lot. But in fact, you have a free version that gives you $5 per month. And $5 can give you enough for you to search for jobs 2-3 times per week using Apify. Okay. But yeah, Claude, you have to pay for Claude. That's, Claude, you have to pay for Claude if you want to use Claude with all its potential. Okay. What are the typical costs you have for Apify? So it depends on the actor that you're running. So the price of the actor, usually we can see some runs that I have done in the past. So for instance, if I go to the LinkedIn job scraper, I can get 20 jobs for 2 cents. Okay. And I use it a lot. And this month I have paid less than $5. And I use it a lot. So today I've used it several times. I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I use it a lot, and and every day. So I've been this month. I started on the 21st, and I've only spent $4. Okay, so you get $5 for free, and I think it's enough for you to at least try the tool and see if it's worth automating with that tool. Okay. Cool. So let's see what we have here. So here we have some jobs. Just post here in a table 20 jobs. Sometimes I have a hard time getting Claude to give me the result that I expect. And I think that's one thing that we can improve substantially with skills. And it's the inability of Claude to go straight to the point and give me what I want without creating a lot of reports or consuming a lot of tokens. I think skills are going to be really important to making sure that Claude follows a process and doesn't go out of its way and doesn't start overkilling the request that I've done. So let's see if it posts these jobs. I'm sorry this Claude thing is taking so long. Usually it's more efficient. Why it does this? I will never understand. It's so easy just to put a table, but yeah. So here we have our table. Okay, and then we can maybe say, okay, use my job application automation to create the resume for this job. Okay, product manager, Money Hub, this job. And maybe I can just add my resume so that it adapts the keywords. Okay, and hopefully it will use this skill. So somebody is asking, do you have a JSON file from the scraper's output? So you can ask yes, Apify gives you the data in a structured manner. You can get a JSON file, an Excel, a CSV. What's happening here is that Claude is processing that information, and you're not getting the details, but you could easily get them. If you do it with n8n, this task is way more efficient. So using Apify with n8n is super efficient. But what's important is that you need to make sure that your search URL that you will put here is correct. So you need to make sure that this URL is correct, meaning you put the right set of days, the right filters, and here you get a JSON. Okay, so if I run this, I will get either a table or a JSON. I can choose. Let's see how Claude is doing. Okay, so it's going to the website of the company to research. So let's see how that goes. And here we see how Apify is going to provide a JSON. Okay. Apify, the good thing with Apify is that it provides the data in a very structured manner. And then n8n is very good at working with JSON. Claude will work well with it. It's not going to expose the response of Apify unless you ask for it explicitly. So now it's running. Let's see how the resume looks like. Okay. Okay. So somebody asking, could we have from you an example on how to build these workflows and how to run them? So what's happening is that we are seeing that people are asking us to let them know how to set up n8n, how to build the first workflow. So we'll probably do a session for that. Okay. We also do boot camps where we teach people how to use n8n, but that's a little bit more advanced. So probably what I will do is I will set up a session specifically to learn how to set up n8n. Make the first steps with n8n and maybe build the first simple workflow. So that's an option, okay? And I'm seeing that this is something that people are asking for. Okay, so let's see if this finishes because we're running out of time. 1 second. Okay. Why is doing this? Why is it doing that? I don't know what's happening. It says it's a temporary. I don't know why it's 1 second, sorry. Claude, for some reason, sometimes I don't understand why it doesn't give you what you want. I think it's a very powerful tool, but it's quite inefficient in doing things in a straightforward manner. So I don't need a huge report. I don't need you to put it on my temporary folder. Just give me the PDF. So this is something I think they should improve. Everybody wants to use Claude, but in my opinion, ChatGPT still does a really good job in giving you what you want without playing games. So let's see what it has created. So here we have the resume that it has created for this job. It's also a Harvard. It's also a Harvard formatted resume. Okay. It has my LinkedIn. It has my competencies, makes sense. It also has my details of the companies that I have worked with. Okay, I think in education, I think it's gone out of its way. I haven't been educated in the Universidad de Navarra, so I think that's weird. Maybe it's because the job description is asking for an MBA or something like that. I don't know. So I think skills can help you in boost this. Probably we need to polish a little bit more the skill, but this would also be an option, using skills to go to Apify, fetch these jobs, and generate the Harvard formatted resume. Okay. Cool. So we're running out of time, and I have a hard stop. It has taken a little bit longer than I expected. I think Claude has been a little bit slow. I thank you a lot for joining today. I really appreciate you joining. I hope that you have enjoyed this session. We really make an effort to help people to speed up their job search. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share a form in which, if you want these workflows to be sent to you, you can just put in your details, and in about 24 hours, I will share the workflows so that you can actually use them for yourself. Okay, so I'm sharing the link in the chat. Okay, and if anybody wants the workflow, just put in your details and I will share them along. Okay, I really appreciate everybody joining. I really appreciate if you like and subscribe, and hopefully we will see each other in any of the next meetups that we're going to do. Also, if you can leave us a good review on Meetup, that's super appreciated. And thanks a lot. Hope you have a great evening. Hope you have a great weekend. And I wish you the best in your job search. Thanks a lot.